Dear Q Talks, why doesn't the church do a better job at supporting mental illness? Well, I've just struggled with both my mom and my brother and their issues with mental illness. And it's just kind of really taken a toll on me. And I felt like a lot of it has been a very lonely journey because it's just not talked about in the church. It's not talked about in the church on a mass level. Well, I grew up in the Black church. I don't know what every church is like or what every church talks about, so I don't want to generalize it like that. But it's been difficult because you hear sermon after sermon and you hear all these, different conversations, but you don't really sometimes get the practical support that's needed on how to journey with people in your family, Has the load been put on me? Well, yeah, because it's my life. So my mom has, I don't really know exactly what she's diagnosed with, but she's, has her own stuff, episodes. And then my little brother was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And it's, the load is on you, especially when you're the more spiritually mature, a little bit more emotionally mature, and even just the reality that it's directly in my family and connected to my livelihood. It's not really a choice that you make. It's a plate you've been served. And, has it affected me in general? Yes. I mean, I grew up a little bit quicker, more emotionally than I think was required. And I don't know, part of that, I may have just come into the world this way, but, there's some world reversals that takes place in certain seasons of your life when it has to do with your parent, which can be hard because you have a certain expectation. Like, don't get me wrong, my mom is dope. She raised 4 kids and she's just been amazing at that. But, depending on what season of life you're in and how life is affecting her, she doesn't necessarily get to control her own condition per se, And so for me, it's hard sometimes emotionally because there's a certain desire that I want to manifest itself in a mother, and you just sometimes are like, I'm just not ready, or I don't want to be ready to support in certain ways, but not from a selfish point, or maybe it is selfish, but from a point of just like, there's certain things I want, and I don't know the future, so I don't know how it's going to all unfold, but yeah, so it's affected me in that way. But I love my mom. She's my heart. So that's not the issue. As far as like future plans, in my head, I'm just like, I need to live close to my mom, and that's fine. It's hard living in LA financially. I mean, this is where I was born and raised. This is my home, but a part of me also is like, I just want to get away a little bit into a town where it costs less to live, stack up my money and come back. But I mean, you always have options, but it doesn't feel like a realistic option for me in the sense of like, this is where my mom is, and this is where my little brother is. And my mom is my little brother's primary caregiver. So like, it's just a lot. And so for me, it's, in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not the only child, but I'm the one who is, closest to my mom, or she relies on more in the emotional sense, not closest, like all my siblings are great, but I'm more of her, like her confidant, her, personal therapist, her pastor, all those things, which is fine. But I just realized, I'm also present for her in very practical ways. I'm just like, if I move, so it requires me kind of to trust God in a different way and just be like, all right, God, you got me in LA, expensive as I don't know what, but this is where my mom is. This is where I am, I think that the church needs to merge more of the conversation of the reality of spirituality and, some of the practicalities of everyday life when it comes to mental illness. And I think having more of resource center, not just for people who are going through it, but for people who are going through it with the people who are going through it, like me, and either have more trained staff or more trained counselors on staff to counsel people, or have immediate access to resources that they give out and just normalize it. I think the Black church needs to normalize mental health more and not make it some like stigma and this thing that it's like, oh, you're crazy if you need this, this, and that. And so a lot of people aren't even getting their help because in our communities, it's not normalized, and so I think we need to shape the language, shape the narrative. We need to have more campaigns surrounding it. We need to share more stories. We need to allow people more space to process, and we need to be more of a support system in that way. And so we need groups that support people. You know, we have all kinds of walk through this Bible study, walk through this, you know, book, but, you know, what about support groups in the church for people, you know? So, you know, especially for me, it's not my direct problem. It's just, but I'm affected, right? So it's like, no, maybe you need to outsource some of to mental health professionals, you know, but you can create a group that it supports people like me who have family members, you know, that struggle, and the reality that the toll that it plays on us, you know. So yeah, sincerely, a girl who cares.